Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Farzy Show. Marc Farzy with you here at the Steven Singer Studios. If you're just joining us, this is the new set, for now at least. There are a couple more changes with odds and ends we're going to make here at the set. But other than that, let's get into this fine weekend that we had to deal with here in Philadelphia. Phillies, of course, we know what they do after they get swept by the Arizona Diamondbacks. At least they take 2 or 3 to a much better team in the San Diego Padres. You know why? Well, I'll tell you why. 2 reasons. One, they didn't have an opponent to play down to. They actually had to play up to them. And not only did they almost have a perfect game in the middle game of this 3-game set, but they should have won it. They should have flat out won it, and unfortunately they weren't able to, but they still take 2 out of 3. No, they don't necessarily keep pace at all with the Braves, who have now won 9 in a row, but at least it's a positive note to take out of this series going into the next series, albeit a brief 2-game set against the Tampa Bay Rays. So we'll see how that series goes, right? Phillies have off today. We'll move on from it to see how they're able to regroup starting Tuesday in order to keep this winning going. We got plenty of Phillies conversation to get to. As a matter of fact, Matt Breen of the Inquirer, Inquirer.com, will be joining us coming up in just a couple of minutes. And he'll be from San Diego because he actually was out there for the road trip. Matt's been going on the road. A couple more writers have been going on the road, trying to get their feet wet back in the way they used to be wet before the pandemic, of course. So we'll talk to Matt Breen about all things Phillies coming up in just a moment. We got plenty of Eagles conversation to get to. The Eagles had a very energetic, everything I was reading, everything I saw said that the Eagles had a very energetic practice after a not-so-energetic preseason game against the New England Patriots after a week's worth of joint practices with New England. They went out and they laid that egg that we all watched on Thursday night, unfortunately, and responded to Friday morning. So here at the Steven Singer Studios, we're going to start it off with those Philadelphia Eagles and what they were able to bring to the table yesterday. Now, the most important thing that we could get out of yesterday's practice was very simple, that Jalen Hurts was back and practicing with the Eagles. After a couple of days, and Nick Sirianni talked about it after practice, after a couple days of being home and resting, just like the doctor ordered, Jalen Hurts came out and practiced very well. He had a lot of energy, and supposedly the entire practice was all about having that high energy. They were supposed to have a practice in front of the fans at Lincoln Financial Field. That fell through due to the weather. So they go into the bubble, and instead of just saying, all right, let's go through the motions, we're not going to be in front of the fans, they're not going to have that energy there, they're going to go inside the bubble, and they're going to bring it. Now, the really wild thing about all that is, aside from Jalen Hurts looking good, looking strong, and all that, the third down conversion rate in the first 2 preseason games has been as alarming and as off-putting as it could possibly be in 2 preseason games. So just like you're not going to go crazy because it's only the preseason, you will look at it and go, all right, that's a little worrisome, because like third down conversion shouldn't really take a lot of game planning. Like anyone who has coached at any level has a couple of plays at least that they feel really comfortable running on third down, regardless if it's third and long, third and short, whatever it might be. And the Philadelphia Eagles, our beloved Philadelphia Eagles, in the 2 games that they have been out there in the preseason, have converted 2 of 18 third down conversions. 2. One of them, the first one actually came by way of Devontae Smith. I believe it was his first catch as a professional converting the third down. That was the first time they were able to do it. I think it was in the the second quarter of the second preseason game. Other than that, they got one other conversion on third down. That is abysmal. And yesterday, the word you're going to hear here is jamboree. The Philadelphia Eagles decided to run a third down jamboree during practice. And this apparently is how they're ending their practices, to try to get better at this before they go to North Jersey to work out with the Jets to get ready for their preseason game on Friday, their third and final preseason game. Yesterday, Nick Sirianni, while we're on that note, said that he wasn't sure whether or not Jalen Hurts was going to play. They're going to continue to feel that out. They're going to let the week go by and continue to feel that out. So let's see how that goes. But as for the third down conversions, that has been catching my eye, and I know catching some other people's eyes as this series has gone on, or excuse me, as this preseason has gone on. Nick Sirianni came out yesterday and talked about what they're going to do to try to correct their mistakes. Take a look at this.
We also know that we're not good at it right now, right? We're going out there with our base calls against probably the team that we're playing's base calls, right? So our base calls without game planning so much, and their base calls without game planning so much, we're not winning. That's as simple as that. So we have made an emphasis. You know, I think you guys saw when we were out at practice today the third down jamboree, and we've actually done that after both games, and we started that, and it's before that game too, that we're just trying to put an extra emphasis on it. And so, yeah, it's not where we want to be, and so again, yeah, the emphasis is on it during practice like it was today.
If you want a saving grace in the preseason, here's your saving grace. The one game, you had your starters play for 2 series, if that. Miles Sanders wasn't even in that game, in the first game. And then Joe Flacco, of course, came out in the second game, and he was your starter in that game. But you have not had your best players out there on the football. You have not had the offensive line out there with Joe Flacco and with Miles Sanders out there at the same time, because we all know in the second game they decided to sit their offensive line, their starters. So that's one saving grace, that the personnel isn't necessarily the personnel that you're going to have on third down trying to convert. But you would still think you'd be better than 2 for 18. I think it's the biggest thing. It's the most glaring, obvious, staring you in the face type of thing that you have watched in the first 2 preseason games that they need to maybe get a little bit better at before the regular season starts. Nick Sirianni was asked also during his press conference yesterday about what he can take out of the first 2 games and whether or not this team is close to being ready for week 1. And he said basically that it comes down to one thing, and it comes down to the fact that they got 3 weeks left. So anytime you have more time to figure out what you have left or what you have to do, what you have to improve upon as the preseason goes on, as the training camp goes on, that's where you're going to feel like, oh, well, I still got 3 weeks. So no, I'm not at the exact spot I want to be at yet before we take on the Falcons, if you're Nick Sirianni speaking, before we take on the Falcons in Atlanta. So they still got a lot of time here to try to work all this out. They still got 3 weeks to figure it out. And I'm hoping, and maybe you can help me out here. Hit me up in the comments. This week, I know they got another joint practice with the Jets. Do you feel like you need to see Jalen Hurts play in this third and final preseason game? Because my gut reaction, my gut feeling right now is that, yes, I need to see Jalen Hurts out there. And I thought originally, and when I was on, they asked me this on Fox on Friday morning, do I want to see him out there? I thought I was going to be in the minority by saying, yes, I absolutely want to see him out there. I need to see him out there. I thought, oh, no, you can't get injured. And I know that there are those people that exist, that no matter what, oh, no, you don't play the preseason because you're going to get hurt. So that doesn't count. Why get hurt when it doesn't count? I rather know that my quarterback's ready for the season. I rather know that he can get on the same page with guys like Miles Sanders, get on the same page as Devontae Smith, get on the same page as Jalen Reagor, even more so with Quez Watkins. Like, I want to see that continue to grow. Same thing with Dallas Goedert. Same thing with Zach Ertz. I want to see all these guys gel. Defensively, you have had a pretty big makeover defensively. Even getting away from just any type of quarterback conversation, I want to know that my defense is on the same page with linebackers playing together that haven't played together before, with Harris and Singleton. Seeing a guy like Steven Nelson play with Darius Slay on the other side. I want to see how those 2 guys work it out. I want to see how my safeties are working it out as well. That's what I need to see. I need to see all that come together to know that when the season does start, these guys will be playing at the highest possible level and be as ready as they possibly can be to take on a 17-game season. So, yeah, I would love to see Jalen Hurts out there for at least a couple series. I'd love to see this defense go out there with your starters and just see how they gel and come together under Jonathan Gannon one more time, one dress rehearsal before the regular season starts. Is that too much to ask? And here's the other thing. In the preseason, I know everyone's number one concern is just get out healthy. Just get out healthy. I don't think a series or 2 is really going to cause a lot of concern when it comes to just getting out healthy. I think especially if you go in there with your offensive line. Here's really what the caveat is. If your offensive line isn't going to play, then no, I don't want Jalen Hurts behind backups. I don't want that. But if they are going to be out there, a couple series, get that timing down. Don't let the layoff be nearly as long as it would be if you didn't have Jalen Hurts out there. So basically, you're going to go almost a month without Jalen Hurts playing any snaps. As a first time going into a season starter, his sophomore year in the league, if you will, you're going to have him go almost a month without taking any snaps in an actual game. In an actual game setting, you're going to have him go a month without playing. I'd rather go without that. I'd rather break that trend. I'd rather actually see him go out there and try to build up that rapport, build up that chemistry with all his other teammates before the season starts against the Falcons. That's what I would do. That's what I want to see. Are you in that same school, or are you more in a school of, you know what, it's all about injury. Just get out healthy. It's not going to make that much of a difference. I'd rather them go out there and actually put their best foot forward come week one. And I don't think they can do that without getting a couple of more reps before the regular season starts. And I know a lot of people look at it like this. I know a lot of people look at the Eagles and really football in general, and they say, well, if you're worried about injuries, well, then you're in the wrong sport. And that's kind of my avenue. But I also think it comes down to Nick Sirianni calling plays for these guys. And I don't think Nick Sirianni is ready without at least getting his starters out there and knowing what they're going to be successful in, their game time decisions, their in-game decision-making. I don't think Nick Sirianni is going to know his players well enough without having them in those actual game settings, preseason or not. So I want to see Jalen Hurts out there. I'd love to see him get that the little couple more snaps out there just to get the chemistry down, just to get the rapport going once again before the regular season starts. That's where I'm at. Tell me where you're at. Hit me up in the comments as far as that goes. Phillies conversation. As I was mentioning, Matt Breen's going to join us in just a couple of minutes. What a difference Rhys Hoskins makes, man. What a difference. I was going back and forth with some people on Twitter last week about the importance of Rhys Hoskins. And I know Rhys has become, I understand why, but he's become a lightning rod. And whether it's not hitting well with runners in scoring position, whether it's flailing at pitches that are just outside the zone that you used to seeing him foul off, the on-base percentage is far down than what it was throughout his career. Even though the last couple of months he's actually turned that around, he's gotten on base pretty well. But the interesting thing with Rhys is the beginning of his career started out red hot, as we all know. But it's not like Rhys has become this big money guy that is eating up a lot of what's around the luxury tax for the Phillies. I get to an extent why he takes a lot of the heat, and I think it's because he's the guy that's really been here the longest. He's the guy that I think is the team leader. He's the guy that I think a lot of guys on the team look at as their vocal leader in the clubhouse. And when he wasn't in that lineup, I mean, it's a pretty big swing. You're talking about being about 5 games over 500 with him. It should be 8 games over 500 with Rhys Hoskins in the lineup. And then 5 games under 500 with Rhys Hoskins out of the lineup. So that's a pretty big swing right there. He comes back yesterday, hits you 2 home runs, makes you feel pretty good about this lineup. JT Realmuto hits a home run for you. You had another good game from Odubel Herrera. He's really come around over the last month again. This team is clicking on all cylinders when you have Rhys Hoskins in the lineup. And then you also now have Gene Segura back for an extended period. Didi Gregorius still really needs to figure it out. JT Realmuto's playing well. Bryce Harper obviously playing well. For whatever reason, Rhys is the guy that makes this lineup go. And getting him back yesterday, you could certainly hear it in the players' voices after the game, Kyle Gibson being one of them who pitched one hell of a game yesterday. There's this certain comfort with Rhys in the lineup where I think Bryce Harper and JT Realmuto, the 2 other guys that I would put in that leader category, both those guys I feel look up to Rhys Hoskins in a way in terms of controlling this clubhouse, motivating this clubhouse, holding players accountable in this clubhouse. And when he's not playing, it doesn't really carry the same weight. Whatever it is, it's an odd thing. And it's not baseball, but this is something that I'll never forget because I feel like when you're a player, regardless if you're injured, regardless if you're playing, whatever it might be, if you're a leader, and that's that. But I'll never forget this. I remember talking to a member of the Eagles years ago with Brian Dawkins, when Brian Dawkins is, your free safety and you're going in the midst of his Hall of Fame career. And I remember talking to a starter on the defense of that team. And I remember the scene. It was the Eagles had a linebacker, I think it was Mike McCoy, who was on the sidelines having a rough game. And I want to say they were playing in Minnesota. And Brian Dawkins went over to him. Brian Dawkins was injured. Brian Dawkins wasn't playing. I think he had a stinger at the time. And Brian Dawkins went over to Mike McCoy, and he just started ripping into him and yelling and trying to get him fired up and all that stuff. And I remember asking this player, Dawkins' teammate at the time, about that thing. Like, hey, what a great leader. Brian Dawkins, he's not even playing, but he's still going to get you motivated. And this player's response changed my outlook on injured leaders forever. And he said, oh, if you're not playing, no one wants to hear from you. And I remember thinking, but that's Brian Dawkins. And he goes, yeah, if you're not playing, no one really cares what you have to say. And I was blown away by that. So now I apply it to every sport. I'm like, if you're a leader on a team and you won't even listen to, like, if you're a player on a team, you won't even listen to Brian Dawkins who's not injured, then who's listening to anybody else if they're not playing? If that's really the attitude, if that's really the mindset. I mean, I've heard other people come out and say the exact opposite, what you would expect them to say. If you have that clout, if you carry that much weight, people are going to listen to you no matter what. That's the way I would think of it. But I'm like, wow, do some players really think of it like that? Where if you're not playing, it's kind of, okay, cool, glad you're here, but you're not out there battling with me, whatever it might be. So even with Rhys Hoskins, obviously a much lesser degree than Brian Dawkins, are people ignoring what he's saying or people ignoring his presence because he's simply not there on the field? And when I think about it, if you're a player, it's always going to come down to who's out there on the field with you at that given moment. But in a sport like baseball, that's not nearly as intense of a game like football. Do players still carry that same type of mindset? So that's always in the back of my mind whenever I'm thinking about any type of leader, whether that be Chase Utley, whether that be Jimmy Rollins, whoever that might be in the clubhouse. I'm always thinking about that. If that guy's not playing, are they still carrying that same amount of weight? And the way the Phillies have played recently, it would certainly lend itself to the idea of not carrying the same weight. Hey, look, Rhys Hoskins come back yesterday and he goes 0 for 4, 0 for 5, doesn't hit home runs. We're not even talking about this. The fact that he came back and hit you 2 bombs yesterday to help you get to this win, this 7-4 win over the Padres, that's totally different. That's a totally different conversation. But when you see him come back in this lineup and you see him swing with the confidence that he had yesterday, you see him go out there and just do exactly what you want Rhys Hoskins to do, it does give you a little bit different of an outlook when you talk about being 5 games out of the wild card, 5 games right now out of the NL East. You have a little bit more than you have about 6 weeks left in the season. It does give you a little bit, and the biggest caveat to all of this, the fact that you face the easiest schedule still throughout all of baseball, it kind of does give you a little bit of hope that you can make it back from 5. Now, if you remember last week when we were talking to Charlie Manuel, Charlie was great, and he was talking about how many games they were down to the Mets in 2007, and they ended up coming back. Down 7 games. 7 games back with 17 left to play. The Phillies came back, and they were able to win the division the first time since 93. I'm hoping they got that pixie dust ready for him again this season, because it doesn't look like the Braves are going to cool down at any point. The Braves are red hot, as I said at the top of the show, won 9 in a row. 9 in a row. And nobody's slowing down in that lineup right now, and that's after they lost one of their best players, Acuna, a couple of weeks ago. So they have shown zero signs of slowing down. Let me tell you about my good friend Steven Singer. Here at the Steven Singer Studios, ladies and gentlemen, I like to make sure that everyone goes to Steven Singer when they need that big jewelry purchase, getting engaged, a birthday, an anniversary, whatever it might be. Go to Steven Singer Jewelers. Check out all their inventory at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. When you go there to the other corner of 8th and Walnut, you'll walk in, you'll see all the beautiful inventory that they have to offer. A real jewelry expert will treat you like family as they walk you through all the beautiful things that you could buy there. And if you are looking to get engaged, maybe a little short on time, maybe a little tight on time, right? Whatever it might be, they got Ready for Love diamond engagement rings right there, ready to open up for the viewing, for your viewing. And you can just check it all out there at Steven Singer Jewelers. The other corner of 8th and Walnut, right in Philadelphia. IHateStevenSinger.com. Always fast and free shipping at IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, let's jump on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line and get even more on this Philadelphia Phillies team by way of Matt Breen in San Diego. Enjoying himself out there after a Phillies victory. Matt caught up with us yesterday. Talk all things Phillies. And joining us right now on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line, all the way from beautiful San Diego, our good friend Matt Breen joining us here from the Philadelphia Inquirer. What's going on there, Matt?
I'm good, Mark. I can't complain. I see the beach that way, Petco Park behind me. Doing pretty well.
I have to say,
we're ready to get home. I miss Philly, so I'm ready to get home.
I'm sure Arizona was terrible, and I'm
I
sure
wasn't
San
even
Diego was
there.
just terrible. Oh, you were there, or you weren't there?
3 days away from Phillies is too much for me.
Okay. Good enough. I will say, I traveled 11 years for Sunday Night Football, and in the early goings of that, I spent a lot of weekends out there in San Diego. It is an easy city to fall in love with, man. You going down Gaslamp at all?
Yeah, that's where the hotel was, right north of that, like a block north of that. So walk through there to get to the ballpark. And my favorite thing about a road city is if it's walkable or not.
Oh,
and
yes.
If I can, I can leave my hotel room and be in the press box in literally 15 minutes. You can't beat that. That's my favorite part. And as long as I can find something to eat close to the hotel, which you could do here, and it doesn't hurt when you're looking out and you see the water and the ocean and all that. So it's a first time in San Diego. Definitely, just the ballpark itself is one of the best ballparks I've been to, and the city obviously is pretty cool too.
Yeah, no, I highly recommend any Phillies fan. I know a lot of you guys go out there already. If you're going to make a road trip, San Diego is the road trip to make, no question. This road trip that the Phillies were going on here wasn't going so great. They get swept by the Diamondbacks. I still don't know how that happens, but it happened. And now they bounce back to win 2 of 3. Rhys Hoskins comes back today. We've talked in the past, Matt, about the leadership of Rhys Hoskins. Obviously, they missed the production. They missed the home runs and all that. And then they missed the mix and matching, or they hate the mix and matching at first base. When you just look at Rhys Hoskins, how much did they miss Rhys Hoskins' leadership while he wasn't there with the team, while he was, going through his injury?
Sure, you can't deny that. The presence that Rhys Hoskins has, he was with the team, but still, the presence that he has when he's playing, when he's in the clubhouse as a player of the lineup, I think is different than just in the clubhouse and on the injured list. And he's the face of the team. He's been one of the longest tenured players. And then on the field sets the tone with his bat, leads the team in homers and RBIs this year. And I just think maybe everybody took for granted Rhys Hoskins. And then when you miss Rhys Hoskins for 2 weeks and you notice kind of how thin the lineup looked without Rhys Hoskins, that it was tough to get. You either had to pick to put people in front of Bryce Harper or protect him. You couldn't do both without Rhys Hoskins, and you saw that times if you put the right people in front of him, Harper was able to get pitches. I mean, was able to have guys on base, but he wasn't getting pitched to because no one was behind him. So, and then if you had people behind him, Harper was getting pitched to, but then he wasn't getting driven in because it just the lineup itself was just missing something, and you saw it today. It's one game against a Padres team that used a bullpen game, but still, I think you saw pretty quick what this team was missing.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the first game of this series, Phillies pitching walks 10, yet somehow they find a way to win. At this point, man, I don't know where you're at, but yeah, however they get these wins is fine with me, because you look at the Braves, they're already 5 games up. You look in the at this time right now, the time we tape this, wild card, Phillies are still 5 games out of the wild card. However this Phillies team can get the wins, I'm all for it. What will they have to do in order to make some kind of run, in order to maybe win 8 in a row, and in order to maybe catch the Braves now at this point in the season? What's the one thing they can't do wrong, the one thing that they have to nail from this point on for the final month and a half of the season?
Performance-wise, they need to hit. They need to hit like they did today. They need to hit like they have at points this season. That's when they went from tied for first to 5 games back in the span of a week. It's because they had the worst offense in baseball. Pitching was fine. Bullpen was fine. The lineup didn't hit. Rhys Hoskins, like we said, was not there. I think that was a big factor why they didn't hit. So they need to hit. That goes without saying. But quite simply, they just need to take care of business. They have an easy schedule. We've been talking about the easy schedule since the All-Star break. That's the easiest second half in baseball, yet they haven't been able to take care of that. Like you mentioned, the Diamondback series. You can't lose that series, let alone you can't get swept by the team with the worst record in baseball. They played the Rays for 2 games this week. That's obviously tough. They're one of the best teams in the American League. But after that, it's another easy stretch. While the Braves play a really tough stretch. They play the Giants and the Dodgers. They go to Coors Field, which is one of the toughest ballparks in baseball this year, even though the Rockies really aren't that good. It's a tough. They have a really good home record. So they're going to a tough stretch, while the Phillies, after they get done with the Rays, have an easy stretch. But nothing's easy. Nothing has been easy for this team. They've been so inconsistent. But if they're going to get to the playoffs, it's because they took care of that easy schedule.
I want to go back to the leadership conversation one more time, because I think you're exactly right. Even Rhys Hoskins being with the team but not playing, sometimes the message from a leader like that when he's not playing gets a little diluted. But it seems like, for whatever reason, Bryce Harper doesn't step into that role. For whatever reason, that's just the vibe I get. I'm definitely going to ask you about that. But it seems like JT Realmuto is the one that steps up in that role, that leadership role, more often. You saw the comments about a month ago talking about how this team was, he didn't want to say boring, but kind of boring. And then he comes out after the Diamondbacks series and says, yeah, no one's really having a lot of fun right now. We got our asses kicked. And then you see the Phillies team respond by winning 2 out of 3. When it's not Rhys Hoskins, do you get that same vibe that it's more Realmuto as opposed to Harper as being a kind of a team vocal leader in the clubhouse?
Yeah, I think Harper sets the example on the field with the way he plays. You see him, the hustle on the base pass. There was a game, was it against Atlanta last week or a couple weeks ago, when he stole 3 bases? Whoever, they were playing at home, and it was just, you saw the inside the park home run the other day, and I just think that's how he sets his example. He's not a big in-your-face guy in the clubhouse, but he lays it all out on the field, and I think guys see that, and that can spark a team. There's other ways to spark a team than saying things to the media after a game and stuff like that, where JT is another guy who sets an example with the way he plays almost every single day behind the plate. One of the toughest positions to play in baseball, to catch, and he does it more than almost anybody. And just kind of a quiet leader, but a focused, intimidating kind of guy, where he keeps guys in line that way by just doing the right thing every day. And there, I think Hoskins is more of like a sage, like, smart guy, like, definitely knows the right buttons to push by what to say to teammates, and is just has a good relationship with almost everybody on that team. Obviously, he's been there for a while, so he knows a lot of these guys, and I think he is the maybe the heartbeat of this team. That's probably the best way I can describe his role in that clubhouse.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. Yeah, as far as on the field stuff, I 100% agree with Bryce Harper. As far as the vocal stuff, I think Realmuto and Hoskins are the guys that step up in that role. Now, with Hoskins coming up, Matt, Alec Boehm goes back down. There's talk about possibly moving him to the outfield. The Phillies are saying right now that's not really in the plan. What does the future hold for Alec Boehm? Because the guy is close to a 300 hitter after the first 2 months of the season, and that's a bat the Phillies could certainly use in that lineup. What are we to do with Alec Boehm?
Yeah, he has hit like 290 in the last 2 months, but almost all of those hits are, hitting singles. It's a very soft 290, a soft 300. You need more power from him. That's what he showed you last year. He showed that ability to hit for power. So that's what, for me, offensively, the biggest disappointment for Boehm is just his power numbers. One of the worst OPSs among basemen, worst slugging percentage in baseball, 4th worst slugging percentage in baseball. You need more than that. And you could live with his defense if his offense was a little bit stronger, but you can't live with that defense right now. They're trying to get to the playoffs, and you couldn't rely on him at third base, and then you put him at first base when Hoskins was there. You couldn't count on him at first base there either. And the Phillies think he's still a third baseman. He works. We talked about this before, how hard he works, and his struggles are not as a lack of trying or effort or work among coaching staff. Him, every day he's out there taking grounders. It was like 100 degrees last week, and he's still taking grounders. So it's not a knock that way. It's just, I just don't know if he can do it, and that's just the reality of it. I think the sample size is not huge, but I think it's enough that maybe he's just not a third baseman, and maybe it's worth a shot to put him in left field. Andrew McCutchen's a free agent after this season. You're going to need a left fielder. You're probably going to need a center fielder. So if you just take care of left field with Alec Boehm and give him a shot there, I think that's a possibility. And Chris Bryant's a free agent, so you could sign your third baseman. But for now, Sam Folds said today, he's heard about that idea. He understands that concept, he said, but that's not the plan right now. The plan is for him to go play third base at AAA, and there's no rush to get him back to the majors. I think they're going to let him just figure it out in Allentown, but I would be surprised if it doesn't become a winter idea or a spring training idea to give him a look in left field.
Yeah. How much of the Phillies rooting that the DH comes back for next year?
Really? I'm sure it will.
Okay.
With this CBA, but they seem like they have a lot of DHs on their team right now.
Yeah, that's for sure. It seems like that's always been the case. Even go back to Ryan Howard, latter stages of his years here in Philadelphia, or even Ryan Howard and Jim Thome. He's trying to split the difference there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. A couple more for you. Joe Girardi down the stretch here. I've said that this really comes down to him trying to be the difference maker. That's why Gabe Kapler's not here anymore. That's obviously why they moved on from Pete McCann. And not that anyone ever thought Pete was going to be a long-term solution as a manager, but they needed a difference maker, someone to lead this team into the postseason finally and not choke down the stretch. How has Joe Girardi been doing down the stretch to this point? And do you think he can, make them go over make them take the next step?
I think he's been fine. It hasn't been super impressive, hasn't been really underwhelming. I think it's just been fine, but you have to give him some slack with the talent they've had, the injuries they've had, just the inconsistent roster. And now it seems like the bullpen, at least in the back of the bullpen, is coming into form with 7, 8, 9, Neris, Bradley, Ian Kennedy, and the lineup is now fully healthy. So let's judge Joe Girardi by what they do in the final 6 weeks of the season. If they get to the playoffs, Joe Girardi did a great job. If not, there's really no excuses. This team it's a huge payroll. Almost everybody's healthy, or at least they're coming back. Zach Eflin possibly back this week. They're going to have a healthy team with a very easy schedule, like we said. There's no excuses for this team not to be a playoff spot. And then I think it's fair to evaluate Joe Girardi's performance at the end of September when you get the full picture of what the season was.
I'm with you there. As far as Nola goes, Saturday night, would you have left him in for the ninth inning after he rounded the bases, or would you have taken him out and gone to the bullpen?
I would have hit for him in the top of the eighth when it was tied. So This is why I don't tweet like every opinion or thought that comes to my head, because I'm sitting next to the guy in the press box and I'm like, he's not hitting for him. Like I would, you got to win this game. You got to get to offense. You got to hit for him. And what does Nola do? He hits a double. So it's like that. That's why I don't second guess. But I think it's fair. Like that was the right decision. Joe Girardi, all the credit to him. But I think it's fair when he's at 100 pitches. Next thing you know, he's at 110, 117. Maybe it was time to pull him either at the start of the ninth or after he walked Tatis on 5 pitches in the ninth inning. Maybe it was time to get him out there. But then if Ian Kennedy comes in and gives up a home run, we're second guessing. We're talking about why did he not take him out there? It's a tough thing to do. The fairest second guess, I think, of that game was bases loaded, Ronald Torreyes up with 2 outs in the top of the eighth. JT Realmuto out of the lineup on the bench, available as a pinch hitter. They scored 2 runs that inning, but you put JT up there, maybe he hits a 2-run single. You get 4 runs. Now you're safe. That was where I think that game was ultimately that was the wrong call of that game. Everything else you can go back and forth, but in the past, Girardi has used JT as a pinch hitter. That was the time to do it.
And I agree with you as far as that goes. When it comes to Kyle Gibson, or Gibby as they call him, I think if your name's Gibson, you're just automatically Gibby, or if your last name's Smith, you're automatically Smitty. These are the rules. But you could really not expect much better performances from him since he's been acquired by the Phillies.
He's been excellent, and I know it was a trade that a lot of people were kind of in and out on, or on opposite sides, because it cost them Spencer Howard. But to me, it was a trade that signaled that the Phillies were at least trying to win this season, where this guy gave you 8 innings today. Spencer Howard is not giving the Phillies 8 innings today, and that's a huge difference, just a huge bonus to have. Ground ball pitcher, looks the part, and a nice thing is that he's under contract for next year. So you have 5 starting pitchers that are ready for next season already, which is, I don't remember the last time the Phillies had that. And I think Kyle Gibson's been excellent so far. And again, there's still another month of the season, but it's a nice card to have him in your rotation for this final stretch.
Yeah, I'm racking my brain, and I don't even want to say it because people are going to assume I'm comparing it to these guys. But I'll just say the last time you had 5 starting pitchers like that, not like that, I should say, but just 5 legit starting pitchers, I'll say that. The last guy in the rotation was Joe Blanton. The guy before him was Roy Oswalt. And then there was like 3 no names ahead of them. I can't remember.
Yeah,
Matt,
I know you're not saying these are the 5 aces or anything like that, but it's just I know what you mean for sure.
5 legit starters. That's all I'm saying. 5 legit starters.
Exactly.
All right, Matt. Before I let you go, can you just show us the beach real quick? I know you're right there at Petco Park in San Diego. It's just, I'm sure it's gorgeous.
My cruise ship is passing by right there. I gotta go catch it.
Yeah. Matt Breen's going to get back to Philly by way of the Panama Canal and then come back up.
I'll be back by opening day.
There you go. MattBreenInquirer.com. Make sure you check out his stuff if you're not already. What's wrong with you? Or even a Phillies fan if you're not following Matt Breen. Matt, can't thank you enough. Safe travels on the way back and enjoy every hour you have left in beautiful San Diego, my friend.
Thank you, Marc. I appreciate it.
Actually, you know what? Real quick. There you go. I don't know if you can see this or not. That's Ron Burgundy right there, my friend.
Wow, there you go.
San Diego.
A Ron Burgundy Padres jersey today.
Now that needs to find its way to MLB.com. That shop. All right. Matt, thanks again, brother. Thanks for joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line.
Thank you, Marc. Take care, man.
See you, buddy. Yeah, that was totally unscripted. That literally, my brother got this. My brother got me this for Christmas years ago, and I was like, you know what? When I actually get a set that I actually really like, that's gonna go up on the shelf. There we go. There we go. That I got my Dundee. That's from my friend Brian Goodwin. Actually, my wife won it, but she won it because of me, so it gets to go on my set. Anyway, thanks to Matt Breen from the Inquirer joining us there. Always good to talk baseball with Matt Breen. I'm not messing. Oh my God. Phillies fans, I'm not messing with you when I say this. Go to San Diego. It is such an awesome city. It is just, it's clean as anything. It's the word I would use for San Diego is pristine. That's the word I'd use for San Diego. I don't just throw that word around willy-nilly like some idiot. No. San Diego, if you've been there, you're like, oh, he's totally right. Pristine's the perfect word for it. San Diego is glorious. Go there. Phillies, the Padres game. Enjoy yourself. It's a beautiful ballpark. I have actually not physically been inside the ballpark, but I've been to the city many times. And oh God, it's amazing. Go to Gas Lamp. I know a lot of people will tell you Gas Lamp's like totally like just for douchebags. It's not at all the case. It's awesome. Well, I mean, some of it's the case, but not all of it. There's one Irish pub there that I always loved going to called the Blarney Stone because, of course, that's what it was called. But it was like in the middle of like these kind of like clubby, old city type of vibe area. There's just this great Irish pub, and they got one guy in there that's like playing acoustic guitar, and he's got the harmonica around his neck, and he's just rocking out every song you've ever thought of in kind of an Irish twang issue thing, kind of. It is just a great town. I love San Diego. I love that bar, the Blarney Stone. I love that whole area, that Gas Lamp area, and you're right downtown. You're right there by the stadium if you stay down there. So it's everything you need right there. It's everything you need right there. It's exactly why I want a downtown stadium, except we won't have palm trees. You know what I mean? But to every Phillies fan, if you're going to make a road trip and you want to make it something awesome, go to San Diego. I would say for baseball, for the actual ballpark, for the city you'll enjoy, the weather, I would say that is the best place to go. Now, you could go to Wrigley, enjoy the history of the game, and enjoy that. You can go to Fenway. That's all great. But, like, in terms of best stadium, best city to travel to and all that, San Diego. I'm not being paid by the tourism board of San Diego. I'm just telling you, get your ass to San Diego if you're going to have a nice little road trip for yourself. Enjoy yourself. My thanks again to Matt Breen for joining us there on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. And speaking of Rothman Orthopaedics, actually have a meeting with those guys a little bit later today. Look forward to talking to them a little bit more. When you have an orthopedic issue, you need Rothman Orthopaedics. You need a physician who eats, sleeps, and breathes orthopedics. You need an exceptionally specialized Rothman Orthopaedics physician that not only specializes in orthopedics, but each of their physician focuses in on one area of the body, which means you can have the confidence to get past the pain and be what you were. Learn more at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Rothman Orthopaedics, the official orthopedic partner of your Phillies, Eagles, and Sixers. And how about our friends at Steak and Maine? when people sponsor this show, and my man Tony Cavato hit me up right before we started the show and said, "Hey, I want to get on board," I was like, "Of course." And I want to know that we're helping our sponsors out. And look at this. On Instagram over the weekend, this account, Sushi Geeks, which has well over 100,000 followers on Instagram, they were kind enough to include us in their comment. And Anthony, Tony Cavada, my friend Tony Cavada of Steak and Maine, said that they were listening to the Farzy Show and that they heard about this gem of a spot. So they hit it up, and look at this platter that they put together at Steak and Maine for the people of Sushi Geeks. How amazing does that look? I'll eat sushi right now at 6:44 in the morning. I don't care. I will devour I'll even eat the lemons, people. That's how delicious that platter looks. If you want that, if you want to put that in your face, go to Steak and Maine. Fine dining in the heart of Northeast Maryland. Whether you dine in a more upscale steakhouse or casual bar and patio, you'll enjoy their highest quality prime meats, fresh seafood, world-class oyster bar, and freshly prepared sushi. All that in an extensive wine list that includes Cavada Cellars wines. What do you always hear me talk about? The Pinot Noir with the with the 2-pound tomahawk steak. Your day is made. Your day is made right there. Open every day for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Steak and Maine in Northeast Maryland. Voted #1 place for steaks in America by the Travel Channel and the Cooking Channel. Check it out for yourself. Go to steakandmaine.com for more information. Also want to give a hat tip to PHL Sports Nation. That's Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. Guess what they just reached for their Eagles site? You know what they did? The Eagles site? They just got to 52,000 followers for their Eagles branch of PHLSportsNation.com. 52,000, sort of like Super Bowl 52, as they made the association on Twitter. So congratulations to them. If you're not following them, come on, people. What's the matter? So make sure you follow them at PHL Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. Now, let's talk a little bit more about Steak and Maine with our fine social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine at steakandmaine.com. Ladies and gentlemen, it's one of my favorite parts of the show, where we just check in with all you great people on social media. I've seen a couple of comments. I glanced over here during the show, and I saw a couple of people say that we sold our souls. Mally, I think you were one of them. I think you actually led that off. We sold our souls for that Super Bowl. Absolutely not. I refuse to believe that. You have had dynasties throughout all of sports. And we're the only ones that are selling our souls? Like, come on. What was it? The Cubs. Did the Cubs fans sell their souls for a World Series? How long did they wait for one? Since 1915 or something? I don't know. Since the GOAT, whatever. People, I hate that mindset. We could be winners in this city, damn it. We could be winners on the regular. I mean, look at the 80s, for instance. Like, before I was even born, this city was like talking about being a city of champions. You had a Eagles team go to the Super Bowl. The Flyers won the back-to-back cups in the 70s. They were going to Stanley Cups left and right in the 80s. Like, we can have nice things in this city. I refuse to believe that we sold our souls for the Super Bowl, that we paid what do you call it, a debt that we'll never be able to fully coop all the benefits from. I refuse to believe that. So let's get rid of that mindset. We sold our souls for it. We got what we deserved, people. We got what we finally deserved. We got a lot of bounces along the way, but we got what we finally deserved. Mally, other than that, good morning. Dan, good morning to you. April, good morning to you. Oh, that's nice. Did I see producer Jim has a new nickname? PJ? Dan, I kind of like that. Good old PJ. That makes sense. I like it. Dan saying 5 back in the wild card, 5 back in the division. That's pretty damn bad. Braves just don't lose. More importantly, good morning, Mally. Very nice, Dan. April saying good morning. Back at you. Same with Mally. What else do we have? Oh yeah, everyone make out with the storm. The storms are crazy over the weekend. We had Lil Toots's second birthday party over the weekend, and we were, my wife. It's funny, big events. 2 events. My wife has done this where she's turned into a meteorologist all of a sudden. When we got married, she was scouting the weather like you wouldn't believe. Like, she practically was putting up a green screen, being like, this is where the cold front's going to come in here, and it's going to meet up with this warm front, and then it's going to rain for like 5 hours. She was basically breaking it down like that. She had Doppler radar, the whole thing. she was like that over this past weekend too for our daughter's birthday, because we were going to have about 15 people over the house, 16 people over the house, and we have a nice outdoor space in Philadelphia, a really nice outdoor space for a Philadelphia house. And we were just worried that we weren't going to be able to have, nice spread out party. Plus, we got a bounce house. We bought a bounce house for our daughter. So we wanted people to be outside having themselves a good time. And they were. They did. It rained a little bit, brought the cushions in, hung out inside, went back out, brought the cushions out, and then the party resumed. It was all good times. So yeah, I hope everyone was good in the storm over the weekend. No doubt about that. Oh, okay. Jim's chiming in. PJ, producer Jim's chiming in. The Diamondback Stadium seems like a dismal place to be. I have been to that stadium. I went there one time. It does feel cavernous. It's nice. They got like a play area for kids in the upper left-hand stands, or the upper left, the left center field stands up there. They got like a kids play area. They got the pool. They had Jack Daniels. I remember that. They had Jack Daniels at the ready. So that was cool. They had like they had a Jack Daniels stand. Like two things I really like. Obviously, you're going to have nachos, and most stadiums now have the big helmet you could fill with nachos. I know I've talked about before. But then they had that, and then like right next to it, they had these Jack Daniels stand where you could buy a nice Jack Daniels on the rocks and stuff. That's all I really needed to say the least. And I remember Greg Murphy when he was in the field years ago. They sold a bat. Like a baseball bat-sized hot dog. And that was supposed to be like the big thing there. I didn't eat that, but I just remember seeing it while I was there live and in person. It looked like it would do some damage. What else do we have here? Next year with the Farzy chat meetup in San Diego. Now that would be a party. Oh man, that would be a good time. April, Phillies bats got to wake up. Nola pitched an amazing game, and they still blew it. So frustrating. Pitchers know they have no support. Hey, again, this is where you're hoping. And I thought what Matt said was on point. The Phillies absolutely, without question, needed Rhys Hoskins to get back in this lineup. It's the age-old thing of getting protection in your lineup, with having a lefty and then a righty and being able to bounce that back and forth, having power behind power to protect power. I mean, you can go back further than this, but one of the things I always go back to is one of the classic flips that they made with the Yankees in 1961 when Roger Maris hit 61 home runs, and it was right before Mickey Mantle got hurt. They flipped those guys in the lineup. And I remember the story 61, the movie 61 covered it beautifully. But if you're a big history nerd and you're a big baseball nerd like me, then you go back to that a lot, and you think about how that was a big push for Roger Maris to get to 61 home runs. The fact that Mickey Mantle was hitting behind him, protecting him, in other words. So you're not going to walk a guy out of fear of the next guy that's going to hit a home run or drive him in, whatever it might be. So I think with Rhys being back in the lineup, the guy that I'm really focused in on now as far as turning it around is Didi Gregorius. Because Didi with Ronald Torreyes mostly going to be he's your starting third baseman now with Alec Boehm going down to the minors. I would love Didi Gregorius at shortstop and start hitting the baseball like he was hitting it last year. If Rhys is back and he's getting on base at a 360 rate, like he has been doing recently, if you have him doing that, even more than that, maybe 370, 380, and you have Didi Gregorius hitting home runs for you and driving balls into the gap as well, hey, man, this lineup can make some noise. And Aaron Nola, if he can stay as consistent as we hope he can, Kyle Gibson obviously being a great acquisition, and then Zach Wheeler just being what Zach Wheeler has been for you all season long. Zach Eflin then coming back off the IL as well. This team can make a run. I have confidence, I have hope, I have faith, I have all of it that the Phillies can make a run as the season winds down, because they're going to be getting healthier as the season goes on, barring any other injury, obviously. But as the season goes on, they're going to get better, and they're going to play against a worse schedule. So it's very much possible that the Phillies can make up 5 games in the wild card or 5 games in the division. Look, as great as the Braves have been, I doubt the Braves are going to stay this high. I mean, they've won 9 in a row, people. Are they going to stay hot? Probably. They seem to do that at the end of every year. Are they going to stay this hot? Probably not. Probably not. So, April, I think you're right on just talking about the bats in this lineup, how they need to give some more run support. Ray's checking in. Good morning, Ray. What's going on? Phillies next year need left field, third base, and shortstop. Bring up Bryson Stott. Will be 24 this October. What are you waiting for? Is that how old Bryson Stott's going to be? That's one thing I haven't, like, I've looked at his numbers and how well he's doing and all that, but one thing I haven't looked at yet is just like staying on top of his age. And yeah, he's up there. So I'd love to see him up in the major leagues. That's the one prospect I asked Charlie Manuel about, and he really likes the kid. So hopefully that happens. Already thought of going next year. The Phillies will be there at the end of June for 4 games. Been there, great city. I highly recommend San Diego. San Diego. So like most of the people that are following the show and communicating with me are Northeast corridor of the United States people, at least. You're Philly people, more or less. But like Baltimore, Philly, even Boston, New York, because we're so old, like there's a lot of people out here. I just feel like our cities, like we have a barometer of clean in all of, I think, the Northeast corridor United States cities. And that I'm including Baltimore in this, where it's like, it's clean. It's clean enough. Like, I consider the Northeast corridor United States cities to be like the last minute straighten up before company comes over unannounced. Like, that's how I think of our cities as our barometer of clean. And then it's like a city like San Diego is just always pristine. It's like, you know what it is? It's the living room. It's like no one's really allowed to go there. If you run by too quickly, you might hear like plates in the dining room, chatter a little bit. San Diego is such a gorgeous, most clean, pristine city that you could bask in it if you're from the Northeast corridor of the United States. You're like, wait a minute, this is how a city can be. It's pretty amazing. They do a great job. They really do a great job. So yeah, go there if I haven't said that already. Ooh, Galvis at short. Ray, I like what you're thinking. I think you're going to get his opportunities there at short when he does come back. I know he's excited to be back, so that'll be nice when he does. But I still don't think he's going to be your everyday guy. It's been a lot of different cities. It's been a lot of different cities, by far the best. Really? San Diego, best restaurants downtown. Trying to think of a really good. I had one of the best burritos of my life there. Actually, real quick aside, one last thing on San Diego, I swear. I was out at a bar once. It was a Mexican bar, and it was awesome. That's where I had the burrito. It was fantastic. And there was like a huge dance floor of people salsa dancing, like something out of a late 90s Ricky Martin video. It was like, what the hell? And I got to talking to some people. And all right, I'll say I got to dancing as well. And these people I met had just taken their citizenship test. They were Mexican and now they're American, and they took the citizenship test. And the guy says to me, he goes, "Hey, where are you from, man?" And I go, "I'm from Philadelphia." And he goes, "Oh, Philadelphia." And he goes, "Oh, what did he say to me?" He goes, "Liberty." No, he didn't even say Liberty Bell. Oh, cheesesteaks. He said cheesesteaks and booed Santa Claus. A guy that just took the citizenship test. The only 2 things he could tell me about Philadelphia, it wasn't the Liberty Bell. It wasn't the cradle of liberty. It wasn't the birthplace of America. Oh, no. The only 2 things he could tell me about Philadelphia, cheesesteaks and that we booed Santa Claus. And I was like, was that on the citizenship test? Because I wouldn't doubt it. Anyway, so go to San Diego. No, Philly has some of the best restaurants. Oh, yeah, Philly does have some of the best restaurants downtown. Yeah, the only thing I had that awesome burrito. Fish tacos. Sunshine Company was the name of the place. It wasn't in San Diego. It was like just on the outskirts. North Beach? Is that what they call it? Anyway, Sunshine Company. It's a taco truck, a fish taco truck backed into a bar. I swear that's what it is. You're sitting at a bar. There's like a little garage behind you with a window, and the food truck backs into it, and they make the tacos right there, man. It is a good time. Philly does have something that hopefully will connect to the strings with Dan, Malley, Dan Schwartz, Dan. Who was saying good luck. Totally unrelated, but my kid starts middle school today. Appreciate some good thoughts for her. April, middle school. Today's a big day, April. Good luck to you. Good luck to your little one. Get not so little one, right? That's awesome. Congratulations. Good luck and all that. I heard staying outside the lines is actually what they encourage now in kids. Encouraged now, yeah. Marc as a peacock dancing on a horse would be hilarious. Hey, if I could hang with some of my Latino and Latina brothers and sisters on the dance floor, all right, I don't think we should be making a joke of that. I think we should just be respecting it. You know what I'm saying? Thanks, everyone, that participated in the chat. As per always, great catching up with you guys as per usual. That was a social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. Let's roll on into our morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. Football notes, ladies and gentlemen, football notes. It's really the only note you need today. Two notes, actually, you need today. One, Carson Wentz supposed to practice with the team, plays 70% of the snaps and makes the playoffs. The Eagles get a first-round pick, or he plays 75% of the snaps and no playoffs. Eagles still get a first-round pick with the second-round pick, conditional pick, flipping to a first-rounder. So that's a good sign that he's going to be practicing already. Originally thought out 5 to 12 weeks. What a range, folks. What a range. But no, he should be back practicing with the team today, so that should be great. Other news involving the Eagles. Dak Prescott, according to Adam Schefter, says during halftime of Friday's game, I believe it was the Cardinals game, Adam Schefter says Dak Prescott might not ever be back this season. Like fully back, like back. Dak Prescott might not be fully back this season. He obviously is dealing with the broken ankle from last year that caused him to miss the rest of the season after week 5. He also strained his shoulder in training camp. He has been trying to make his way back. Mike McCarthy has been very, very close to the vest as far as how they've been handling Dak Prescott, saying that he might be able to start, he might be able to practice, might not, might be able to play in the preseason, probably not. But Adam Schefter coming out saying that Dak Prescott might not be fully back. Let me just say this to you, ladies and gentlemen. Have you been watching any of the Cowboys preseason? Have you been watching any of that? Have you been following? They have no quarterback. They have no quarterback. Benedanucci is still on the roster. Who is it? Cooper Rush. Who else do they got? They got the other guy, Gilbert. That's not going good. Like, it's not going well at all. It's going so bad, as a matter of fact, that I know I was talking Friday or Thursday night about maybe getting Nick Foles here in Philadelphia. The Chicago Bears might be trading Nick Foles to the Cowboys. Can you live with that? Could you imagine that scene? Could you imagine seeing Nick Foles in a Cowboys uniform? I think we'd all need therapy after that. I think we'd all need a lot of therapy after something like that. Could you imagine if he was good with the Cowboys? That would not be what I would want my Cheerios. Let's just say that. So Dak Prescott might not be back the entire year. Phillies back at it tomorrow. They face Drew Rasmussen against Ranger Suarez. Ranger Suarez starts for the Phillies. That 2-game series is going to be back here in Philadelphia. I have to get to this. This is one of my favorite things from the weekend. A lot of people made a big deal about this picture. Now, on the right, if you're looking at this, on the right is Aaron Nola's dad. And he is supporting both his sons. He's got the Aaron Nola Phillies jersey, and then under it, he's got the Austin Nola San Diego Padres jersey. That's great. But what I like more so is the guy on the left. This picture has more swag than I think anybody's. You got the guy in the middle with the big Padres medallion, that huge thing right there. Was it Funk Master P? Flavor Flav. They got that going on right there in the middle. And then the guy on the left, I assume a relative because he's got the Phillies hat and the Padres outfit. This guy, if he's not an actual Franciscan brother, I don't know. Whatever. This guy loves his family. I'm assuming he's an uncle of some sort because he's rocking the full Friars robe and then the Phillies hat. That is a better cross-sport dress than I have seen, really, than I think I've ever seen, in all honesty. Whoever that guy is, I don't know if they ever identified him. I'm assuming an uncle. This guy's getting it done, all right? That guy, he came to the ballpark ready to play and ready to cheer for his team. That's what he did. I love that. That right there is our morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. Let's hope when we're back here tomorrow, folks. Let's hope we're talking about another crisp Eagles practice. Let's hope when we're back here tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the Phillies. Just feeling as good as we can going to a quick 2-game series with the Rays before you start getting back involved in the NL East, which is really where I hope the Phillies wins come. in the NL East. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. Make sure you hit subscribe on our YouTube page. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts as well. My name is Marc Farzetta. My thanks to Jim Hyden who produced the program. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. Have a great rest of the day, everybody. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning, on a fine Tuesday morning. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Take it easy.